Another installment, episode, video from Sound Money. And today we're going through the human money tier list. So these are a few of the different types of money that humans have used throughout history, and we're going to rank them S tier to F tier. So we have to start by knowing the different categories and metrics that a good money needs to have. So we know that a good money needs to be divisible, portable, durable, fungible, verifiable. It needs to be scarce and offer some sort of utility to others. So let's rank these types of money. So what should we start with first? We could do one of the easier ones. Let's go with gold first. Let's go with gold. All right. So gold is definitely something we got to put in the A tier for sure. Gold is extremely scarce. It's probably not even probably, it is the scarcest commodity we have. Gold is not very divisible though. It can't really be subdivided into various sizes very easily. Its portability is pretty low because gold is very heavy per unit weight. It's extremely durable though. It's the most durable asset we have. Fungibility is pretty high. Every single gold bar looks like the next gold bar, the next gold coin. Gold's very easily verifiable, even though it's very difficult to verify. You have to melt down the gold to verify that it's gold, but it does offer a good utility to others. Very aesthetically pleasing. So that's going to be A tier for sure. So let's go with seashells. Seashells next. So in terms of divisibility, very poor. You can't really divide seashells into many different units. They're extremely portable though. You can pack a lot of seashells into a small area and transport them across large distances. In terms of fungibility, it's very poor. Every seashell looks different than every other seashell. So, in terms of having a unit of money that is fungible, it's just not going to be it for seashells. Verifiable. I would say they're very easily verifiable. You can tell a seashell is a seashell just by looking at it, pretty much. Scarcity, which is one of the more important aspects of a money, is extremely low. You can find seashells anywhere, and they don't really offer much utility to anyone, honestly. So we're gonna go with the D. We're gonna go with a D ranking for that. Next, we're gonna go to feathers. I'm gonna put feathers probably even lower than seashells, just because feathers are not durable in the slightest. They're extremely portable. You can pack a lot of them into a small kind of area. They have a very small weight per unit. But in terms of durability, they're very poor. They really don't offer much utility to anyone, and they're not scarce. They're everywhere. They're simply everywhere. But they're pretty easily verifiable. You can tell that a feather is a feather. You don't really need to do any, forensic work to tell that a feather is a feather. So next we're going to go into grain. Let's do grains. So grains are extremely durable. They're extremely divisible. They can easily be divided into many different units. They're extremely portable. They're extremely fungible. Each seed of grain looks like the next seed. The only thing is they're not very scarce, although it does take a while to produce more grain. Well, not a while, but as long as the growing season is. And they offer an extreme amount of utility to people, as you can eat them and feed whole populations. So we're probably going to give grain a B tier. I would say a B tier for sure. So what are you going to do next? Let's do cocoa. So cocoa, I would say it's about on the same tier as grain. They offer about the same level of utility. Very durable, very portable. They're easily verifiable, and they're very fungible. They're not very scarce though. I would definitely put these in the same exact tier as grains. So let's go into tobacco. Tobacco I'm going to put in C tier right under grains and cocoa. Even though they're both agricultural products like cocoa and grains, their tobacco is, in my opinion, not as durable, as the tobacco leaves can dry out very easily if you don't keep them moist. They do offer an extreme amount of utility to people. Tobacco is not very fungible though. All the tobacco leaves are going to look different from each other tobacco leaf. So the fungibility is pretty poor. And then also the divisibility of tobacco is very poor also. So next we're going to go into the rye stones from the island of Yap. And so the islanders of Yap are called the Yapese. And they use these rye stones that they got from a neighboring island made of limestone. And so they would carry these massively heavy stones in boats across the water back to the island of Yap. And since these stones were so big, people didn't really own them in terms of like keeping them in their houses. So they would hold a town meeting, and the owner of the rye stone would be kind of introduced in front of the entire community. They would say, "Hey, Bryson, you own this rye stone. Everyone in the community, Bryson owns this rye stone." In terms of durability, they're limestones, so they're gonna be around for thousands of years. Very durable, very durable. Not very divisible. The divisibility is extremely poor. The fungibility is also poor. Each stone is going to look different from another stone. They're easily verifiable, though. You can easily verify that it's limestone and that the rye stone is a rye stone. And in terms of utility, that's a mixed bag. Utility is high, but you can't really move them because they're so heavy. So this is a tricky one. This is a tricky one. Just simply for the durability and the scarcity of the rye stone, I definitely want to probably put it in the A tier. It took the Yappies a lot of manpower and hours to get these rye stones all the way across the river to the island of Yap. In terms of scarcity, so they were scarce until the Dutch came and with their explosives and just blew the rock out of the limestone out of the mountains. I kind of want to put this between A and B just because they were very scarce at the time, but with technological advancements, that scarcity was rendered obsolete. So I'm going to put that between A and B for sure. Between A and B, just under gold, but more than grains and cocoa. So next, we're going to go into the agri beads of the African cultures. So these were glass beads worn by Africans, and they represented their money. They could be symbols of wealth and status. And so these beads were very durable. In terms of portability, they were very easy to move around. They're pretty light compared to the amount of space they take up. So the big problem is scarcity. So when the Europeans arrived in Africa and found out that the Africans were using glass beads as their money, that did not bode well for the Africans at all, as the Europeans at the time were some of the best glass makers on the planet. And so when the Europeans went back to Europe and came back with a bunch of agri beads, they were able to pretty much flood the money supply of the Africans. This led to the obvious complete degradation of the African culture at the time and African economy, and also was a major precursor for the Atlantic slave trade. So I think we're going to put these at a C tier. Um, the scarcity is the problem. These agri beads were made in such high quantities, and led to a very tragic time in human history. So I want to put them at D. They weren't a very good form of money at all. And then obviously you have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the perfect asset. It's more scarce than gold. There's only 21 million Bitcoin in existence. Extremely durable because it's digital, so it's not going to erode. Bitcoin offers utility in that it is a store of value. It doesn't have aesthetic utility because it's digital, but the store of value and the fact that no one can take your Bitcoin away from you is a very high utility rating. Verifiable. Anybody on the Bitcoin network and anybody with a internet connection can verify that the Bitcoin is Bitcoin. In terms of divisibility, Bitcoin is one of the most divisible assets we have. Each Bitcoin can be divided into 100 million Satoshis, units. So very divisible, very verifiable, very portable, and that you can transfer billions and billions of dollars worth of value just on a cold storage or digitally in cyberspace. And so Bitcoin is definitely going to be the perfect asset. So I think this is going to be a good hard money tier list. What do you guys think? Do you agree with this money tier list? Do you agree that Bitcoin is the perfect asset and ranks high on all the categories that we need for a very sound money? I think that Rhinestones could go a little higher. Actually, I'm going to put Rhinestones on the level with gold because if the Dutch never came to the island of Yap with explosives, then the Yap wouldn't have a scarcity problem. So I'm gonna put the Yappies Rhinestones at A tier. The only thing that led to the demise of the Yappies Rhinestone was the technological advances, but that is a thing that your money needs to be able to withstand is technological advances. So what do you guys think of my human money tier list? Did I get it right? Comment below.